Hello and welcome to round 12 of the ExA PlayStation Division. It's Division 2 and we are, let's disable that straight away because that's not showing. We've had some technical difficulties there, that's why we are starting much later than pre-planned. But let's get into this session and see what is the score. So LH44, he is in first position and he has a 1:10.773. Let's go on board with some cars. Who's out on track? It's actually LH44 is out on track right now. Let's get the telemetry up and get some of the details on screen. So LH44, he's got a 1:10.773. VZ just behind, he's got a 1:10.878. Tim, he's on a 1:10.938. So let's have a quick look and try and get a bearings on where cars are going through on the session. So we have ExA Matteo, he's just coming on the line now. He's at a 1:29.828, so not perfect. There must have had an issue on his lap, so he'll be going again. So let's go on board with the car. And he comes through to end the first sector, and it's a 20.177, so only slightly up on his time there. You expect that on a fair stop. Obviously did make a mistake in the first sector. As he comes to the first on the DRS, 3 DRS at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And we come to this tricky right-left corner with the traction out behind being really difficult as we look to the end of the second sector. Turn the gate volume down, that gate. Yeah, is that better? Is that better? So, a bit of difficult traction out of there for ExA Matteo as he's running to the infamous Wall of Champions here. Okay, wicked. He collapsed the Wall of Champions for good measure. It should be a better lap time, but doesn't think he'll put him anywhere near the top, and it's only 9th for ExA Matteo. And he can probably do a lot better than that. Certainly has time for another lap. Okay. Yeah, I'll turn it down even more. I don't know why. That actually says it's not putting any sound out. So that tells me that the game isn't actually changing that. So we'll just do that directly in the game. Some scuffed audio changing here. Okay, let me know how that is. Obviously having some problems with my setup here. And who do we have out on track? We have, in the final sector, we have a Haas running quickly. He is on a lap, 42.331. As we come through the final corner. Puts the power down, runs to the line. And it's a 1:11.143, so that's enough for Tobias to go into 5th position for the Haas team. And who else is on an outlap? We have CWM, he's on an outlap. OJMX, he's must be on a lap. No, it looks like he's backed off. We have through the middle sector, we have final sector, sorry, we have CWM boy. He is coming and he must be going to wind up for a lap here. And let's see how he can do as we ride on board. Through the first corner, the first set of corners, virage, turn 2, rotate your car all the way around and then line yourself up for this quick 3-4 through the Pont de la Concorde. Under the bridge we go and around to the final sector. First end of the sector, sorry, and it's 2/10 quicker than his previous time. So he's currently sitting on a 1:12.139, so he'll need to find a bit more than that to be competitive here. And we have our 2 quick drivers here, LH44 and VZ. They are out in first and second position. Let me know if the sound is better, Rowley, at the moment. As who was that who just put in a time there? I think it must have been the Aston Martin maybe going over and setting a time. But we'll ride on board for the rest of this lap as we go through the final corner here. very tricky. You have to get on the power, have to be brave. Right, okay, yeah, I've just no idea what my mic's done today, really. It's completely given up the ghost on me, my whole setup, to be honest. So we'll just have to make do with what we got. And I can probably just turn up the gain a little bit. Let me know if that's any better. So, yeah, he did improve his time, but only enough for 11th place there. We have VZ and LH44 out on laps, and there's yellow flags being waved absolutely everywhere. Actually, VZ, oh, he sets a improvement there, does he? Yes, I think it was a slight improvement. LH44, he's going through the first sector now. We'll have just had a little bit of traffic getting around the McLaren there. That must have been OJMX, maybe? Was that OJMX? It was OJMX that he was just going around there as we come through to this tricky 8-9 turning corner as you go for under the Pont de la Concorde, and he runs lip wide, and that's invalidated his lap time, so he won't be able to set a lap here. But VZ, he seems like he's not on a lap. He's not on a lap this time round at least, and we only have 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the session. So LH44, if he has them, he has fuel to go again, so he will be able to have another crack at pole position here. Of course, he's already sitting on provisional pole. Tim 0706, he's warming up for a lap, so we'll see how he's doing. And LH44 is just coming up to the end of the lap here, so we'll see. There's already retirement from Evip. He's decided he's done as good as he can do. Won't be getting out there again. And Avenged Alfie, what time is this? He's actually invalidated his time, so he won't be going quick. And OJMX just about to start a lap here, so we'll see some frenetic action coming in soon as we have VZ coming to the line, and that's only a 1:22, so this will be him starting his lap as well. As you can see, the deployment starts to go down. And LH44, he is attempting another lap, minimising his line on the run up to turn 9. You can see he's absolutely trying to extract everything out of here. And a 1:10.5 is certainly possible out here. Let's see as he goes through the second sector. He is a 10th.5 up, so he's nearly at that golden predicted pole time that I've got in my notes. And he'll be looking to extend his lead at the top. He already has a 10th advantage over VZ. VZ is coming through the second sector, and he's down on his time, so he doesn't look like he's improving. So LH44 looks set to take provisional pole as he goes through the final corner. There's a yellow flag just in front, but he won't have to back out. He'll run to the line here. That's a 1:10.33.7. Will VZ be able to respond? He is actually up through the second sector, so he is up. So he will be able to improve here. Is this going to be enough? How daring can he be through the final corner? VZ, oh, there's a massive crash from Tobias Angus, and he just runs to the line. He's only good enough for second position. Tim looks like he's probably going to have to return to the pits, or has he been held up? He's certainly not got EOS on, so I don't think this will be a quick lap from him. I think he's probably had a mistake. Avenged Alfie is also out of the session. OJMX, he's come to a halt at the Tangle, the hairpin, famously where Nigel Mansell gave a wave to the crowd and stalled his car just before the end of the old start-finish straight. And I think that's it. Mastiff, he is coming to the line. So Mastiff could set a lap time here. Where can he put himself car? He's one of only 2 cars who could go out and set a lap time here. And it's looking like it's not going to be super quick, and it doesn't look like an improvement on his time. So just trying to get to the line. And Surprise is coming through the final corner as well, and he's not on a lap. So LH44 is on pole position for this Montreal Grand Prix at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And that sets up his weekend nicely. Now, we'll try and have a quick look at the standings beforehand, as we didn't get to look at them at the top of the show. But VZ and LH44 are certainly in the fight for the sharp end of this championship. Pool Diver, of course, races in the cross-play league, so does LH44 up into 3rd position. So a good performance from Pool Diver there into 3rd position. And we'll have a quick look at the results of the session on the final screen and see if we can just quickly switch to the standings for freehand. So LH44 confirmation there is on pole position. VZ is 2.5 tenths back, so 2.5 tenths of a second behind the pole sitter. Pool Diver is nearly 4 tenths behind LH44. Tim in the Red Bull, he is in 4th position. Avenged Alfie, he's in 5th position for the Alfa Romeo team. And that's some good racing. We'll just have a quick look at the whole result, just in case it needs to be saved for later. And have a look at all the incidents as well. But we'll quickly just try and jump to the standings. And let's have a look at the standings. So it's actually VZ who is leading the championship for the AlphaTauri team. And he has 124 points, 21 points behind his LH44. So he's doing everything he can to close that gap. As it stands, obviously, it would be a 5-point gain, plus the 1 point for the qualifying lap being on pole. ExA Rowley, he's not in this weekend, so he will probably see his championship position fall down the order a bit. He's in 3rd position at the moment. I don't think he'll be at 3rd position by the end of the day, as long as Alfie can score some kind of points. He won't be able to cling on to that, but he'll certainly lose touch with the 2 cars in front as we head towards the end of the season, the sharp end of the season. Evipt, he's in 6th position for AlphaTauri. So AlphaTauri looking very, very good. AlphaTauri and Ferrari looking to pick up big points here. Of course, to extend their standings. Let's have a look at the constructors' standings. So Ferrari is quite far ahead. 5 wins they've had, 270 points they are on. So they have a really, really firm grasp. The more interesting battle here is, of course, for 2nd position. But let's jump back into the race as we have the countdown. 1 lights, 2... No, there was a formation lap. There's a formation lap on. That's beautiful. I'm glad with that. I thought we were going to jump right in. And I quite like a formation lap, mate. It gives me time to crucially look at the different tyres. We don't have formation lap in the cross-play division, which I'm the commentator on now. And LH44 is starting on the hard. So there's two strategies here. There's thank you very much for a follow, Oliver. Appreciate that. Yep, do drop follows. You'll notice that our media looper, that's not showing any of the socials at the bottom of the screen. So you'll just have to find those out for yourself. That's gone wrong between transitioning between PCs. Many things wrong with my setup today. Apologies for the inconvenience at the start of the setup, to start the stream and missing the first half of qualifying. But hopefully we'll have a good race ahead. 104 followers. Let's try and get that past 105 by the end of the day. But LH44, he's on the hard. So the hard to medium strategy is absolutely meta in this game. That's what you want to be on. Medium tyres at the end of the race gives you more options with the safety cars. The only way that works, and it did work in the crossplay division this week at Suzuka, is if you have a safety car about lap 10. And so it did actually bring some of the medium runners into play and gave them a couple of podium positions. But VZ, he is on those medium tyres, so he's going to be aggressive at the start, he's going to be quick at the start, and he's going to hope that luck goes his way. Paul Diver, he is on hards. Basically, everyone on hards, down to Mastiff and Ugid Jesus. I don't know what that is. Mr. LV, I'll call him. He is on the medium tyres, so we will change this detail to position change. And move on and focus at the front of the pack as the cars come into shot. So the drivers at the back are starting to pull in, and it'll be 35 laps here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for round 12, Division 2 of the PlayStation League. The drivers begin to stare. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5. And the ExA go racing in Canada. It seems like it's a good start from VZ. He's absolutely using the traction of those medium tyre compounds, and he seems like he's got a better start, and he's got the job done into turn 2. As he comes through Varel, she has position. Paul Diver's looking a sniff at LH44, but doesn't manage to pull through there. So that is going to be a shame for him. He was hoping to capitalise on VZ getting by, but there's a car falling down the order. It's OJMX and Alfie. They've fallen down the order, and there's a big collision at turns 3 and 4. Let's see what's happened to them. It looks like, oh, there's a loss of wing. OJMX is out of the race. That surely be a safety car. That will surely be a safety car. It's gone virtual. It's gone virtual safety car, so that will neutralise the race just for now. But there was an absolute tangle through the Pont de la Concorde, and it is a full safety car. We see the safety car come out the pits. It won't change strategies too much, but it will allow any of those cars involved in that opening lap tangles. Vivstar also out the race at turn 6 and 7. He is, yeah, so they're 2 cars out the race, OJMX and Vivstar for McLaren and Mercedes, respectively. Alfie is a championship contender. Wow. Well, he's in 14th position, but obviously you score points from 12 up and only a few points behind you, really. So you must be feeling a bit scared to see what happens this race. I'm sure you'll be watching with intrigue. But VZ having the perfect start there on those mediums. Now, early safety car isn't the best for mediums because you basically on that medium strategy tyre, what are ways you can make it work is no safety cars. You put in the pace early doors. And I'm sure you're not done and dusted completely out there. Well, maybe the top 2, but certainly you can go and secure that 3rd place. You're in a battle with Alfie, certainly. But the safety car early door keeps the hard runner closer to the medium, and this is not using up the medium compound as much as if it was racing conditions, but it certainly is using up the best of its tyre life, and he'll have to switch on to the hards later on. Or maybe a softs, but that's a very dangerous strategy. You'll have to build a lot of a gap. And we'll have probably 2 laps of safety car here, as quite a few cars have opted to go into the pits. Let's have a look at who has stopped. So it's Evipt down. They've all stopped. What tyre have they gone on to? So Evipt, who started on the hards, he's now gone on to the mediums. Eugelis, he's gone on to the hards after starting with mediums. Matteo must have been caught up in the collision as well. He's gone on mediums. And Will Racing has gone on the mediums, and he's lost his wing. So he will be going to the pits again. So not a good moment for the Aston Martin driver. But he will be able to pit again. It's just, will he get back to the safety car in time? It's quite a short lap here. It's quite a fast lap as well, because a lot of it is straightaways. So he'll be able to pit. It's a short pit lane under normal racing conditions. It's roughly 16 seconds in and out. Obviously, that's shorter under safety car because of the speeds that they're going at on track. But Will Racing, he'll absolutely be kicking himself that he's got to go again. I think he will be able to catch up, so he'll go into the box now, surely. Pit, new front wing, be able to stick the hards on that he probably started on, presumably. Evipt also pitting, so Evipt is changing back onto those hard tyres, not wanting to do the medium strategy, and Tobias has retired from the session. What has happened to Tobias? Tobias has binned it under safety car. So going into turn 3, he's lost the back end, much as he did in qualifying, and he has put it into the wall. So that is him out of this race. Now, that shouldn't delay proceedings too much. I still expect safety car to come into the pits at the end of this lap. I know it seems Will Racing is quite far behind, but I think he'll catch up actually. Oh, on those hard tyres, having a moment and cutting over the white line on exit there. So, well, you know, it's a D2 race to match my my bizarre setup of this commentary today. So it's fine. We'll get the crashes out early and then race on from there. Actually, so it looks like we are going to maybe have another lap of safety car. We haven't had the safety car in this lap message. As we get to lap 3, and we're going on to lap 4, we should see Will Racing be able to catch up. And I don't think he'll catch up. He certainly won't catch up in time for the safety car to go in this lap. So we'll have one more lap under caution conditions, under the safety car. And VZ, yeah, this works. This plays towards LH44. The longer that safety car stays out, the amount of laps VZ can pull out a gap on those medium tyres extends. And actually, the hard tyres, you know, it's just a shame that this game has such a singular kind of strategy when it comes to tyres because of the lack of tyres it gives you. I think in real life possibly could flirt with a 2-stop and try and make that work, especially with the pit stop time being so short around here. But you've basically got to make sure soft tyres work, and those soft tyres can cause problems as they go off. They did make softs useless. I think as well, like last year with the game, you used to be able to put on the softs and like in Q2 you decide what tyre to start on, and that really added a lot of jeopardy to the race and the starting tyre you were on. But it is a bit frustrating, and obviously in short qualifying you'd have to start on the tyres that you qualified on. So there's a lot of strategy there that has evaporated from the game between the two rounds, but the Aston Martin of Will Racing has caught the back of the pack, so the safety car will be in this lap. Aston Martin safety car at the front of the field, Aston Martin racing car at the back, and will ride on board for VZ for his start. Just has to let that car disappear, that safety car disappear, and it will dive into the pits, and then VZ will be able to start racing. We've only had about a sector of racing so far, so we'll see what kind of pace he can bring on these medium tyres. Can he make this strategy work? Of course, our championship leader leading the race. And as he comes around the final corner, we're just looking for one clear, concise return to racing. And we look backwards, and LH44 is absolutely sitting with him, and VZ is leaving it as late as possible, and I think he misjudged that. I think he misjudged where the safety car line was, and LH44 just decided, you've gone too late, and he's absolutely put him under a lot of pressure here. LH44 decided to take the position. He went too late there, VZ. That was a very, very strange moment, but VZ obviously having better traction during this stage, and they're so close to each other as they come into turn 6, and VZ just has to think better at that one, but he's absolutely desperate to get back and has way better traction on the out of turn 7, the exit of turn 7, and as they head to turn 8, he has the move done, so he's back in the lead, so that didn't cost him too much, but LH44 is absolutely going to stay as close as possible behind him, and as they go into the tangle, the hairpin, they are very close, only 3 tenths position. Meanwhile, Kieran May has made a move on Tim at the chicane, but it hasn't paid off. Tim has took that position back on traction of the exit of turn 10 as they head down to the Wall of Champions chicane, the final chicane. LH44 is looking for any place to get that position back, and these two cars on different compounds really racing each other really close. And we have another retirement from the race. It's Wilm Racing. It is Wilm Racing, and hopefully we won't see any kind of safety car again, and this race won't be disrupted. It doesn't look like it's coming out at this stage. Alfie has gone into the pits for a pair of medium tyres, that is. And LH44 is keeping up good tabs for VZ here. So VZ not being able to extend that gap. And let's actually get the telemetry up and the lap data so we can explore how their EOS usage is. So quite similar between the front two, but Paul Diver just quietly sitting behind, building up a reserve of EOS as we see Tim skip the chicane, and now he could be under pressure from Kieran May into turn 10, and he tries to go around the outside this time, up the inside last lap. Let's see if the outside works for him. Managed to keep his nose just in place, but still it looks like Tim gets much better traction out of turn 10 as we have Paul Diver now very close to the back of LH44. No, he's just falling down a little bit, but having to use a bit more EOS, and those cars having to use even more EOS to try and extend the gap, and they're really racing each other hard. As we look down the order, it's VZ from LH44, Paul Diver's in 3rd position, Tim in 4th, Kieran May in 5th, Mastiff is in 6th position, CWM Boy, he is in 7th, Tig, he is up to 8th position. Let's actually have a quick look at positions change, because we'll get a good idea of where people have gone. So CWM Boy has made a big progress since qualifying. So has Mr. LV, who qualified, I think, last on the grid, or pretty near last. And of course, the big losers being Alfie and the cars who have crashed out. And the penalties looks like it's going to be a big factor here, as we see LH44 actually just beginning to fall out of the gap for the first, form that DRS gap, and this would be maybe the first lap where you could have DRS. So I think he's just expunged a bit of ERS to stay within that DRS 1 second window. And oh, very loose under traction, Larry and loose, and he will have DRS, so he's done just enough to keep it within, and he'll have DRS for this straight and the pit straight. It's a double DRS for a single activation zone, and that will just bring him a bit closer, and that's all he needs to do. He just needs to hang in the DRS of VZ, and then he'll have the better tyres at the end of the race. So this is working well for LH44. He may have lost the lead of the Grand Prix from the start after a much better start from VZ, and obviously getting that back at the safety car restart. But VZ racing very hard to get back, and LH44 closing that gap up, so actually putting himself in a very good position. Alfie gets another penalty, so it's not going for well for him, and he's DNF'd. He's DNF'd from the race. He's pulled out of the race, probably having a bit of damage, and he's pulled out. That's good news for Rowley, who of course won't lose any ground for him in the championship. Only 3 points separate those two drivers. Rowley not racing today, and Rowley will maintain third place in the championship. So into turn 10 we go, firmly in the DRS activation area, and let's go back to tyre detail. And this is all LH44 needs to do, and Paul Diver is also working quite calculating here. He's obviously not quite in the championship battle. He could have a good weekend here and close up the gap to Alfie and Rowley, as those two cars won't be scoring points at the moment. In position he is, he'd be scoring 18 points. That would be taking him just a handful of points, maybe less than 10, away from those third and fourth place cars in the championship. So this would be good for him, but he's sensing something bigger because he is managing to save ERS, and his race management here is, I would say, slightly better than the two cars ahead, who are absolutely pushing each other all the way. Of course, they are in a championship battle with one another, and if we look down the order, CWM Boy is putting on a bit of pressure to Mastiff. So Kieran May, he has 6 seconds of penalties, 3 seconds of penalties for Mastiff, 6 seconds of penalty for CWM Boy, and Tig has 3 seconds worth of penalties as well. So actually CWM Boy is incredibly close here, so he's sensing a move on this lap. And Paul Diver also close at the front. We'll keep an eye on those gaps. But CWM Boy does actually sidle up the inside of Mastiff there. Mastiff making a mistake on entry to the Latangle, the hairpin. And now Paul Diver, I don't think he's going to be able to close it up. It's a bit of a DRS train. It seems that VZ has decent straight line pace. It's just through the middle of the sector where he is struggling. Has those medium tyre compounds, but it's not looking great for him. Now Tig, oh, it's Mastiff. Mastiff has made a mistake. And no, he's into the pits. Mastiff is into the pits. Possibly has picked up a bit of damage, has he? Yes, a new front wing for Mastiff. They are putting on the hard tyres for him. He'll have to struggle to the end. He'll be able to get to the end there, but it may be a bit of a struggle. He'll hope for a safety car that goes his way and have to make up time with the front wing change, of course, as well, and time he's lost through getting that damage. So LH44 still only 8 tenths behind our race leader, VZ. Paul Diver in third position, having a lot better race today at Canada than he did at the ExA PlayStation Division on Wednesdays. We'll stream Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. The schedule will be up at the end of this race, but this is Division 2 of the PlayStation Division, and we've got a good fight for the lead here. We also have Matteo in 8th position, who is close to Tig, and has a chance here because of course Tig won't have DRS and won't be able to have the benefit of DRS from the car ahead. So we'll have to see what kind of speed Matteo has. Doesn't look like he's pushing to close the gap. Doesn't feel fast enough here. Let's see what his confidence is through there. And he's a lot closer here, so he may be sensing a bit of a move into turn 1. No, I think Tig has better traction and is able to deal with it, whereas Evipt has gone into the pits. So he's gone into the pits too. Let's see if there's any. There is a front wing change for Evipt as well. So he will be going onto the hard tyres, and he'll be able to go onto the hard tyres from the end to the end now. But he's quite far off the back of the other drivers. Meanwhile, the battle at the front is looking like a three-way battle between VZ, LH44 and Paul Diver. Tim just drifting off the back here, but obviously any mistakes from the cars ahead, he'll be picking that up nice and easily. They don't seem to have any penalties, so being able to keep it within the track lines here, and it's quite tricky with all the chicanes and the fast approaches to corner to keep it within the white lines here. It's one of the trickiest circuits on the calendar, and one of the more punishing ones for penalties when it comes to corner cutting. But he has a big gap to the cars behind, courtesy of the penalties they have. Now LH44, I think these cars are just managing their race pace at this stage of the race. They'll be looking to make moves later on. Of course, we have LH44 and Pool Diver on hards at the moment, so they will have the pace advantage over the final 15 laps, as long as safety cars don't go the way of VZ. This is looking good for the cars in second and third position. The Scarlet Ferrari of LH44 and the Alpine in French Racing Blue for Pool Diver. And VZ, he seemed to grasp the start and almost broke the DRS toe on lap 7 of LH44, but LH44 used a little bit of ERS strategically to keep within DRS as he ran up to where we are right now on track, the end of sector 2, where the DRS activation zone is, and that kept him within the DRS train here, and he can just manage his pace from here. Pool Diver using a little bit more of his ERS now, and we'll see what the gap is at the end of this lap. He looks closer than he has been for a few laps. It's coming down and as we go through the final corner, a lot more confidence there. Those medium tyres certainly starting to become a bit worse for wear, but LH44 not pulling the trigger yet. And you'd have to expect in the next 5 laps that car of VZ, the AlphaTauri VZ, who got very loose on the exit of Virage turn 2, and LH44 was so close he just had to react. He wasn't able to benefit from that mistake from VZ, but LH44 will be starting to sense blood of the car in front, and he'll see that he's under pressure, and that mistake will just cost a little bit of confidence for VZ. So VZ just needs to put his head down, focus on hitting his marks, and try to keep LH44 behind for a little longer. LH44 looking to close up the championship. He got a point for the qualifying pole position and clearly feeling confident around here, but VZ has a 21-point lead before this race. That's currently 20 points as things stand. So LH44 just has a little bit of a moment. Is Pool Diver able to capitalise? He isn't, no, but they are gapping Tim behind, and Tim has now picked up a 3-second time penalty. ExA Matteo, he is close to the back of Tig here, and on those medium tyres, let's see the tyre life that he is currently on. So 11 laps, so Delsby starting to go off, and actually falls a bit quite far behind this. I think make a mistake at the hairpin. But meanwhile at the front, LH44 is very, very close. We're in 2 temps at turn 2. Now this is where VZ made a mistake last time round. He doesn't make any such mistake this time round, so seems to have got the confidence back, and he's just got to manage the mediums all the way to the end. Pool Diver picks up a 3-second penalty, so that could be costly in his chance to go for first place here. We'll see what kind of penalties the VZ and LH44 are picking up in due course as we run to the end of this straight, the middle DRS straight, and not really an overtaking opportunity. So difficult to go too wide through there, so no one really goes for an overtake unless you're basically alongside and you've made the move. There's no point going for an overtake there as we go into the hairpin. Very different lines here, much tighter line from LH44, which suggests that his traction, he's feeling the tyres are a lot better than where VZ feels they are at the moment. But VZ being able to extend and actually put the power down quite nicely out the hairpin, and that builds a gap, and VZ goes into the pits. So VZ pits and gets a 5-second pit lane penalty, so he misses his pit lane speed limit to check, and that could be massively costly. Obviously he will be able to serve that 5-second penalty at a safety car, and let's see where he feeds out the pack. This is going to be important for him, and it looks like he's going to be behind CWM Boy and Tig, so that could be quite difficult as we run and cut the first corner. I think he'll get ahead of the McLaren of ExA Matteo, but he doesn't get in front of Tig and CWM Boy, so he's going to have to dispatch with them very quickly and could be slowed down. Plus grabbing that 5-second penalty has cost him quite a lot there. So now LH44 is going to be the man in front and could come to pressure from Pool Diver. These two are racing on merit with each other, and LH44 has just a little bit less ERS. Pool Diver has slowly sunk into his reservoir of ERS to stay in this battle, and let's see what kind of pressure Pool Diver can put on the Ferrari of LH44 as he closes down. It will be another 5 or so laps before these hard runners will pit. Now VZ will have to make an overtake on Tig and the 5th place position of CWM Boy, certainly in the next few laps, because I think they will be able to run for the next 5 laps. So he'll have to get this move done, and this could cost him quite a lot. He'll want to get this move done ASAP, really. So we'll see what kind of pace he has through this lap, and see whether he can dispatch the Williams and Ferrari. Now, for the reserve driver could do a good job. The reserve driver CWM boy could do a good job for LH44 here and keep VZ behind for a few laps and extend his stint to optimize LH44's strategy here. And as they come close, he absolutely puts it up the inside, and it's fairly does it, but I think Tig will just have better traction. No, VZ has better traction on the exit of turn 8 as they run to, turn 7, sorry, as they run to turn, oh no, there's contact. I said just a few laps ago, running too wide through there is so difficult, and Tig had the inside line, and you kind of have to, 2 cars don't go into one there. Now VZ is falling further behind. He's lost a place to Surprise, by the way. He's lost a place to Matteo, and Matteo will have to pit very soon, but Surprise won't have to pit for another 5 laps. And meanwhile, at the front of the race, it's LH44 from Pool Diver. LH44 being able to keep Pool Diver behind. Pool Diver also has 3 seconds worth of penalties, and CWM boy chooses his moment to come into the pits, coming off the hard tyres and going on the mediums. That seems like an early stop for a medium, but he's having to fix his front wing, so he's had a little bit of damage here. And LH44 picks up a 3-second penalty for corner cutting. So that does help his battle with VZ, helps VZ a little bit, and it of course helps Pool Diver behind, who also has a 3-second penalty. So now they're racing on the same time, and all our drivers in this race have penalties. VZ only has a 5-second penalty, and I say only because he could pit again and clear that penalty, which could become very useful if there's any late safety car situation. Put on a pair of softs, have the better tyre advantage, and clear the 5-second penalty. Evipt also clearly has 5-second penalties at some stage, as he has 8 seconds worth of penalties, so he'd be able to do that and clear 5 seconds off his name. But LH44 is now just in a race to keep the Alpine of Pool Diver behind, and actually he's doing a good job extending his gap on the main straights, the DRS straights, without DRS. So I kind of expect LH44 here to pull away in these next few laps, because Pool Diver looks like he's just falling behind, doesn't quite have the confidence of the car in front, as Surprise picks up a penalty. And let's see, VZ looks like he's got Pie Surprise and is now on a mission to rebuild his confidence, and Matteo is trying to keep it around the inside there, but VZ has much better traction, and VZ is now up into 6th position. So at the moment, I still think that LH44 and Pool Diver will get out in front. Yes, certainly will. 16 seconds for pit lane loss here, and they have a gap of roughly 22 seconds. Let's just check on the leader interval. It's 22.2 seconds that they have a gap, so they would be able to get out in front at this stage, but it'd be a bit too early for a pit stop. And Matteo has had an incident. He's recovering from an incident at least at turn 7, and this will give Evipt a chance to get around, and he does. Evipt gets around and takes 9th position off Matteo. He'll say thank you very much for that. And Pool Diver, actually, I now said Pool Diver wasn't going to be able to catch up here. He was within 4 tenths of a second there, so he is being able to maintain that pressure. So it certainly is a race between these two till the end. VZ is on a bit of a comeback drive now after his 5-second penalty and his collision with Tig at turn 8 and 9. A difficult place to overtake, and 2 cars typically don't go into one there. Just take a quick break from talking, because I feel like I've talked for the last 19 laps straight. There's always been something going on. And we have VZ has got past Tig this time. Actually, Tig has lost a position there, so VZ is able to use the better life of those hard tyres now, and he has clean air, 10 seconds to the car in front. So let's see what kind of lap times VZ can put in, and whether he can bring himself back into this race. Of course, 2 seconds additional penalties over the front 2 cars, but that collision with Tig could cost him this race here. Absolutely could cost him this race. Meanwhile, Pool Diver is very, very close to LH44. and is certainly thinking about a move into turn 1 and turn 2. And any little mistake from LH44 here, no, he keeps it nice and calm and controlled and manages the car behind him. But this battling between Pool Diver and LH44, any kind of defensive moves from LH44 takes him offline and will slow these two cars down. And Pool Diver absolutely could help VZ back into this race if they don't work too hard together. And actually LH44 looking very squirmish on those tyres, maybe suffering with degradation a bit more than I thought he did. At least a few laps ago he seemed very calm and under control and seems to be under pressure. We only have 4 attempts between these two and I've no idea who that is really. Into around the final hairpin, well, around the hairpin turn 10, Pool Diver is, he's 4 attempts away, so coming into turn 1 here, he could have an opportunity, and he's looking for the clear air, and he's looking for an opportunity, but LH44 checks out. He decides, right, I need to go into the pits, and this will be interesting here, because he is, of course, in a race for the lead with VZ. VZ having those mistakes, and Tim with a lot of penalties just behind. I think VZ's going to be firmly dispatched here. LH44 is going to be able to take the lead of this race not on the road, but you know, through kind of proxy, as Pool Diver still is yet to pit, and VZ is back up into 3rd position here on those hard tyres, but LH44 on the medium tyres will have better confidence, and Tim just comes out the pits just behind VZ. That will be a great satisfaction to VZ that he won't be stuck behind another driver, and he does get that job done, getting the pace down and hopefully being able to attack these 2 race leaders. Now he has a gap of 4 seconds behind. LH44 is roughly 17 seconds behind Pool Diver. Now that to me is a potential that Pool Diver can do the overcut here. So if Pool Diver comes into the pits, he's absolutely sending his ERS. We'll be expecting him to come into the pit here, and he's clipping. So that will cost him a little bit of time as he comes into the pits. Does he brake on time? Yes, he gets it down slow enough. So will Pool Diver have done enough to of actually... Yeah, will Pool Diver have done enough here? I think he has. Yeah, he's slowed. Yeah, I think LH44 here is going to be very tight out the pit lane. But I believe Pool Diver has done enough here to take the lead of this race as they go into turn 1. It's going to be absolutely tight between the 2 racers. And it looks like Pool Diver has just done enough on his lap. LH44 suffering with the cold tyres. And Pool Diver has got the overcut done. He has got the overcut done. And Tim is in 3rd because VZ has clearly struggled on his outlap too. VZ, he must have made a mistake because he wasn't on that outlap. So VZ has fallen down the order. He's also got a 3-second penalty to boot. So LH44 is now, if he wants to take full points from this weekend, he's going to have to get behind Pool Diver. So a good strategy there to do the overcut. He absolutely deployed every inch of EOS that he had left in him, and he completely got the job done. So good play from him here, but we'll see how long he can keep LH44 behind. It's been a near perfect race for Pool Diver, except from the penalty he picked up so far. It's been nearly perfect and certainly good enough for the lead of this race, but LH44 just seems to have so much more speed on the straights, and Pool Diver, who is got slightly fresher mediums, better traction out of the final corner, and it's going to be so hard for LH44 to overtake here. But we'll see if it's going to be costly that he decided for the undercut. Of course, in this game, the hard tyres make it so difficult to extract pace on the outlap. So you only really get the benefit of Sector 3 being fast, and these medium and hard tyres, as Mastiff has crashed. Mastiff has crashed at the Wall of Champions, and that is going to bring out a safety car as he come into the pits. No, he's coming to the pits. That's not the Wall of Champions at all. Completely misread that. He's coming to the pits. He's retired from the race, and I think he's just going to trundle back onto the racing line and cause a problem. Now, Pool Diver is completely out of EOS here, so LH44 may just be able to get this job done. And I think, oh, don't you just hate to see it? The AI coming out the pits after DNFing, but Matteo isn't done dirty by it. And Paul Diver just needs to conserve a little bit of that EOS, actually, because he is in a fight for the lead, and this could mean that LH44 is going to get the job done. Which way do we go? He goes for the inside of turn 1, and he does get the overtake done. I think Paul Diver just used a bit too much EOS there, and the clipping has cost him massively. As we see, Massive has pulled off to the left-hand side here. Oh, he hasn't pulled off to the left-hand side, but that must be very scary for LH44. Luckily, ghosting is on, so no collision there. But Paul Diver now has everything to do, and actually Paul Diver's picked up an extra 3-second time penalty. So it's not great, but Tim has been brought back into this battle. Obviously has way more penalties and a little bit leery out of turn 7. But Tim, he's back in this battle somehow, on track at least. VZ, 8 seconds worth of penalties. One of those could be cleared by a late safety car. He's struggling on these hard tyres at this stage of the race. They'll come to a bit better later on when those mediums start to begin to stink. But the medium tyres always feel good at the end of the race, and I think, truth be told, it's a battle between LH44 and Paul Diver. Now Paul Diver has an extra 3 seconds worth of penalties, so LH44 absolutely in prime position to take the race win here. We have 11 laps of racing left at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. This is round 12 of the PlayStation Division of the EXA Division 2, and LH44 is looking to take some big points out of VZ this weekend. He's already got a point for fastest lap in qualifying, taking pole position. He'll be hoping to be able to pick up all 25 points here, while his teammate will only be able to pick up 15, is it, for 4th place? I do forget, 15 for 4th place. So he'll be picking up 14 points, so it could be an 11-point swing here as things stand to LH44, but Paul Diver certainly doesn't feel out of it, and is so close, and he decides to go for a move at the hairpin. Now this is very, very tactical. He just oh, game bug for Mastiff, that sucks, dude. He does get the move done. He gets the move done into the hairpin, and he will have DRS. So he'll have DRS, so he won't have EOS, but he'll have DRS, which will be able to help him defend. And Paul Diver just takes the defensive line, weaves a bit right than left, and I think LH44 is just going to have to fight another day on this one. And it's a very sloppy exit out of the final chicane. And now Tim is sensing a move. Does he go and throw it in? No, he backs out of it. He was a bit too far back there, so it would have been a bit of a lunge to make any move stick. And Tim, in this final stage of the race, is actually really, really fast on the mediums. But that's why he won't be winning this race. Illustrated point, and case in point, as he's just picked up way too many penalties, and maybe he's got more pace than he actually does because of those penalties. So he'll be falling as things down to 5th position, possibly even 6th. No, he'll be moving down to 4th position certainly, as things stand, and VZ will be in 3rd, so he'd be picking up 18 points. Paul Diver will be picking up 25 points, and LH44 will be picking up 20 points. But it'd still be a swing of points towards LH44, who is chasing down VZ in this Division 2 Championship. We only have a handful of races to go at Singapore next week, but let's focus on the final 10 laps here, as LH44 is very close to the back of Paul Diver, but Paul Diver has the better drive out of the final corner. Matteo has retired. Matteo has retired in the pits, so he's hit the end of his session away. So only the top 10 will be scoring points today. Obviously points normally all the way down to 12th position, but in the case of if you don't finish within the final few laps, you aren't classified, you don't get the points. Got to finish the race to get the points, and LH44 is hounding Paul Diver. Now LH44 could actually play this quite cool here. No more penalties in the rest of this, no more warnings. He's certainly got the race win here, so LH44 will be desperate for the win too. Let's have a quick look at fastest lap at this stage. I'm sure it will change over the final few laps, but fastest lap is of course an extra point, and Tim has the extra point for fastest lap. So Tim, who's actually, I think Tim is a reserve driver this weekend, so he won't care too much about it. But and LV is out of the race. He's retired in the pits as well, and LH44 is only 3 tenths behind Pool Diver, and he's closing and closing and closing. Will he think for a move into the chicane? He does. Let's see if they can keep it nice and clean, and they can, and it'll be a double DRS. Look how close they are running. Absolute top and tailing as they go down, and Pool Diver feels like he's had a better exit, even though he hadn't got EOS, and he tries to keep it in there. He doesn't get it done. He doesn't manage to keep it in there. So some good racing between those two. They are so close going through the final corner. Any little movement between either of those two cars and it would have been disaster, but they show each other maximum respect here. And LH44 now again has the lead of the race on track. He had it before through penalties, but that's a good place to be. If he can just manage Pool Diver behind, he'll be able to potentially win this race, but Pool Diver certainly seems to have a lot of pace here, and they seem very, very evenly matched. If Pool Diver can just stay within touching distance of LH44, he'll have another attempt into the final corner, or potentially turn 1, as he'll get 2 squirts of DRS. And Pool Diver is, yeah, it absolutely is a DRS game here, really. I've just seen your message. It is absolutely a DRS game. And Pool Diver will be able to close in here, and he's clipping though. So LH44 takes the defensive line, which is a better line, and that's clever from Pool Diver. He just sticks a wheel in and makes him take the shorter line, and I think LH44 will go defensive here, and I think he's done just enough to keep Pool Diver behind here as we go through another tour of this Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We go through the first sector, the exit of Virage and Senna, and through the Pont de la Concorde, turns 3 and 4. As we come to the end of this first sector, these two cars are absolutely battling, and LH44 needs to keep his eye on the prize. He just needs to make sure those penalties do not stack up. Any more warnings, and it could be disaster. And VZ is only lurking not too far behind. You know, any collision between these two, as Pool Diver looks for a move into the corner, which is so hard to overtake, and he backs out of it though. Luckily for LH44, any little mistake from LH44 here, and VZ could swoop in and pick up big points. So LH44 just needs to keep his eye on the game and make sure that he's closing down that gap in the championship. Now, Pool Diver again is very close behind, but opting to use his ERS up rather than just leaving a little bit in the tank so it can deploy all the way down the straight. And I think he could just be slightly faster again. LH44 takes the defensive line through here, and oh, there is contact between the two. There is a little bit of contact, and Pool Diver forces himself on the outside of this first kink and into the inside of turn 1 as the two cars go wheel to wheel and do battle through Virage again. And LH44 again has just seemingly done enough to keep the car behind, and he takes the racing line just in front, and they dip down this difficult right-left-hander. 3, 3 and 4 where Sebastian Vettel famously cut the corner and got a dubious penalty. That's what I said on that one. But Pool Diver is absolutely putting on the pressure here. He's saying, yeah, you may be second in the championship, but I am here for a fight. And Pool Diver is, of course, trying to build up his championships here. 25 points here could be mega for his championship. Could be absolutely mega. That would put him around the 80-point mark and only 5 points behind Alfie, and a further few points behind Rowley. So he could be eyeing up third place in the championship here. But LH44 and Tim looks like he's made a mistake. So Tim has made a mistake. He's fallen bound. He's actually got a broken front wing. So he's out of that battle for the lead. But Pool Diver is putting on the pressure for first place. And the more pressure he can put on LH44, it's a higher chance that he'll be picking up an extra warning here or there and taking an alternate line through a chicane. And that will make him pick up that penalty and give Pool Diver the chance to take the win on the road and through the penalties. So as we come round and through the end of the first sector, one more time, Pool Diver is second, and he is absolutely putting on the pressure. Meanwhile, Kieran May has, of course, took a 4th position off Tim, who's had to pit. So has Ty gone through, and so has Surprise. So Tim's fallen down to a lowly 7th position. He'll be able to pick up the fastest lap, but I don't think he'll care too much for that. Just picked up too many penalties through this race. CWM boy, he is in 8th position, and he's just picked up a penalty. Talking a lot of penalties, and Evipt is just behind him, so he'll be able to close down that gap. Surprise is very close up behind Tig, but has 3 seconds extra penalties, And meanwhile, at the back, at the front of the race, Paul Diver is again closing in and closing in and closing in. And this feels like a good range to be at as he goes through this corner. And if he could just maximise his exit, doesn't seem to be able to maximise it, but he will be able to just charge EOS for the next lap. And tucks up to the left, just trying to find every bit of clean air, put every bit of pressure on. And VZ's picked up another penalty there, so VZ is not having it easy, let's say that. As LH44 and Paul Driver battle all the way to the end of this race together. They've been, a second has separated them practically through the whole race. Of course, in the opening stages, VZ had the lead through a better start under right at the start, and then taking the position back after a strange safety car restart. But he's fallen back after a collision with Tig at the corner we've just gone through, turn 8. And he's fallen out of this battle as well because he's on the hard tyres, which aren't the best at the end of the stint, and safety cars haven't gone his way. But Paul Diver is so close here. But look how much EOS burn that LH44 is doing out of that hairpin. What Paul Diver needs to do here is let him do that. Let him do that. And then on the final lap, save up all that EOS and just go for it. That's what he needs to do. And it looks like he's just cooling off here, just trying to build up his EOS over the laps. And if he can just stay within that DRS range, I think he feels like he's the faster driver. He can probably get a job done here, and it's so absolutely important that both drivers stay within DRS of one another. So, we have 3 laps left, including the one we're on. LH44 would be very happy with this position. It'd be a 8-point swing, a 9-point swing, sorry, in the championship. No, an 8-point swing, sorry, as the LH44 picks up a point for the fastest lap of the pole position lap. As Paul Diver gets closer and closer in that middle sector. Always looks like he's going to make a move, but of course thinks better of it. But LH44 could be picking an 8-point swing due to 7 points in front of VZ. Being 7 points in front of VZ, that is. And on the track, first and third place. And the extra point for qualifying. PW Jones, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. As we come down to the final corner. And you can just see Paul Driver desperately trying to save a bit of EOS here. And LH44 doesn't seem to have a little too much less, but he saved about 10% on that lap. About 10, maybe 8% extra EOS battery. And he'll have 2 more attempts, 2 more bites of the 2 more bites. Well, he could win if LH44 picks up a penalty on these final 2 laps, and Paul Diver doesn't pick up a penalty. He gets in front. There's every chance Paul Diver could take this race win. I've seen much crazier and wilder things happen on the final corner. You know, VZ could take this win if there's an instant between these 2 cars at the front of the field. So no one is out of this race just yet, and Paul Diver is very close behind, keeping LH44 honest. Now, we don't know how many warnings LH44 is on at this stage. We don't know how many warnings Paul Diver is on. Could he get an extra penalty and basically confirm his second position? But these 2 drivers have performed so equally, making so few mistakes, and Paul Diver bringing himself into play massively at the pit stop stage, running an extra lap. But LH44 is burning his EOS, and you can see that Paul Diver has an extra 25% charge, but LH44 just needs to keep it calm, clean and controlled, and he'll be picking up this race win no matter what happens on this final lap, except if there's a collision. And now Paul Diver has about 25% EOS left for this final lap, and LH44 is completely out of it, and LH44 just makes a little mistake out of Virage, and down to the Pont de la Concorde they go. And Paul Diver just running a bit wide there. He falls behind, but not too far behind. And if he can just put a bit of pressure on through these final few corners. There we are. That calls it. He's put on too much pressure, and he's given himself an extra penalty. So LH44 just needs to finish this one now. I think Paul Diver may try and go for an overtake here. Oh, that's absolutely quite wild. But LH44 could just let him through. You could have the win on the road. But there's absolutely no reason for LH44 to fight Paul Diver now, because Paul Diver has that extra 3-second penalty. And I think LH44 said, you can go for that overtake. It's wild, it's crazy. It doesn't change the result of this race. Backs out of it. That's really smart, race management from LH44. I've seen people try and defend on the final lap to people who have more penalties and catastrophically ruin their race. One time for the leader of the race around Monza in my league, and it is stupid. But LH44 is delighted with that. It's an 8-point swing in the championship, and now he is only quick maths. He was 21 points behind before. Is that 13 points behind? He's only 13 points behind LH44. Let's just have a quick look at the fastest lap. Yeah, fastest lap goes to Tim. So a 8-point swing to LH44. Congratulations on that win. A very nicely managed race. Pool Diver also putting the pressure on all the way through, keeping us entertained thoroughly throughout. VZ unlucky really with the early safety car and just didn't seem to have the pace on the hard tyres. He's finished in third position but keeps his championship lead importantly on a weekend where he didn't seem to quite have the pace of his title contender. Kieran May, he's in fourth position. Tig, he's finishing in fifth position for the Williams Racing team. Surprise, he's finished in sixth for Alpine. Tim, he's finished in seventh. Evipt is still about to go line. He's in eighth, and CW Boy in ninth. So this, this is a good thing for LH44. He'll be very happy with that. And as LH40 says, fair play to Pool Diver. They've had an absolute battle all the way throughout, both providing a lot of pace between one another. And it was an absolutely frenetic win. And Pool Diver will put himself very, very close to Rowley and Alfie. I think he'll be only 10 points behind Alfie now, and 14 points behind Rowley, but he was a lot further behind that beforehand. And Kieran May says, boring race, but good points, like 15 points. I'd take 15 points for a boring race sometimes. It's all you need. And yeah, it's a good thing for him here. I think he picks up a bit of ground on Evipt in the championship there. So Kieran May, I think he'll remain seventh with that, but he will be able to close down sixth place in the championship. Kieran May's surprise is falling probably a little bit behind Kieran May too there because he's finished lower. We'll just have a quick look through the standings all the way down. We have a lot of DNFs. We have a hell of a lot of penalties. That's Montreal for you in this Division 2 race, and it's been a fun one to commentate. Thank you for having me. Apologies again for the technical gremlins we had at the start of the session. I have a feeling my mic quality hasn't been what it should be as well, but we've just had to deal with what you get sometimes. And we'll just have a quick look through all the incidents. I don't know if you guys log all this, but I certainly do usually look through that, just in case you ever need to log through that. And absolutely great racing from all the drivers. Congratulations again from LH44. A good weekend for him, a good weekend for Pool Diver, and very well played for VZ for getting back up to third position after his collision with Tig around lap 16. So I guess that ends it. So this has been, if you've not watched before, if you've been watching, you've enjoying it, follow. We have loads more races to come this week. We stream Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. There's always something to go on about, always roughly around 7 p.m. I think a little bit earlier for the Formula 2 race on Sundays. And you'll be able to see a schedule on the next screen. But thank you very much. I've been Gareth Allen for the ExA production. And see you soon.